All right, everyone, we are live here on Discord and on YouTube. It's Tuesday, February 20th. It is about 12 o'clock Honolulu time. I was 30 minutes late today. Sorry, today's been just insane. Everybody wanted to call me. I talked to the CEO of BioFi for about an hour today, working on some stuff. I was talking with other CEOs and other projects, and then, of course, my mom called me. My doctor called me. But I am here. We're going to talk about a lot of different things. We're going to talk about, of course, the crypto market, where Bitcoin is, some Bitcoin news. I also have a ton of information in this chat about Ethereum. Ethereum's, they're going to have an ETF that is coming on Ethereum probably in a few months. We're going to talk about that, something to get ready for. We're going to look at some AI information. I also found a few interesting projects that I wanted to share with you, so we're going to talk about those. We're going to talk about Depin. We're going to talk about, I really like this project that's coming up too. We've been talking about it in the Discord for some time, but I think this is something we really need to keep an eye on. Man, there's just a lot of information here. Also, this new trend, decentralized science. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Of course, I have some XRP stuff in here because I know there's some people in here that just love XRP content. So, man, it's gonna be a good day. Let's go ahead and get into it. So, current Bitcoin price is 52,000 and some change. Ethereum, it broke 3K. It's back down a little bit, but we knew this was coming, right? If you were in the chats over the last few months, I told you that an Ethereum ETF is coming. We're going to look about how much actual Ethereum is on exchanges. And, you know, is the play here Ethereum? I believe the play is not Ethereum, but it's layer 2s underneath Ethereum, really the infrastructure of Ethereum. And I think that's where you're going to make a lot more money. Personally, I think Ethereum could go 8-10 grand pretty easily here, especially if an ETF gets approved. It could probably go a lot higher. But we're going to go ahead and get into some of this information. On the 7-day, just looking at the top 100, WorldCoin was up 200%. Did anybody do this? Scan your eyeballs? And I don't think I'd ever allow any kind of machine to kind of scan. I know like your phone and things like that, but this is on another level. This was up 200%. It's down in the last 24 hours 10%. Sia Coin doing well. FET, right? Up 50%. I know we've talked about that at length, especially in 2023 and early 2024. Arweave is pumping. Depin is pumping, guys. It's, you know, Depin is really pumping. A lot of these tokens we have talked about. Render, right? I was telling you I was buying Render when it was like under $4. I was reminding you that Render is going to, you know, go up nicely, and here we are now at $6.20. Polygon, I think you should, you know, Polygon was here in the last bull market, and you know, right now, you really want to focus on stuff that has hype, right? You want something where people are focused on. I do think Polygon's going to do well, but there may be other, other opportunities, Arbitrum, Optimism, things like that. So that's up pretty nicely. Akash is up pretty nicely, 14%. Manta is up 12% at $3.10. It's feeling good, man. It's feeling good. We are making some money here on the projects that we've been talking about. So, Coinbase's Bitcoin supply plunges to the lowest since 2015 after 18K Bitcoin, 1 billion in withdrawals. You know, the Coinbase is the custodian for a lot of these ETFs, right? And,
Hey, brother.
oh, am I not sharing my screen?
Are you? No.
Party foul, Rob. All right. Well, if you're on YouTube, you're seeing everything. So here, just going through this really quickly again. I'm just looking at the percentages here. This is up 140%. Filecoin's up 37. Ron, we talked about this at length over the last few months. Caspa, man, we got into Caspa at half a penny, and it's at 18 cents. You're up 3,600% if you were following the Kryptonaires Discord months and months and months ago when we were talking about Caspa and we were getting into Caspa. That is probably one of the best performing assets that we've talked about in recent times. Obviously, we've had some other stuff that have gone up. Beam is at 3 cents, guys. We were talking about Beam when it switched over from Merit Circle to Beam. You got into this at like half a penny, right? You're up like 600+% on this. Man, there's just so much other stuff, right? Manta, Blur. I can't remember in the community who brought up Blur, but that's pumping too. Gala is trying to break 3 cents. Gala's been having some trouble, but just it's great to see the market pumping. All right, so what I was trying to show you here is Coinbase supply plunges to the lowest level since 2015. You know, Coinbase is the go-to place for custodians for ETFs, right? I think 8 out of the 11 companies are with Coinbase. So, you know, they're running out of Bitcoin, right? So that is going to definitely help with the price in the long run. Bitwise Bitcoin ETF is now available for recommendation by registered investment advisors of $30 billion in assets, one of the largest advisor networks in the USA. Great to see. 13th largest city, Fort Worth, Texas, has Bitcoin miners plugged into City Hall. This is getting kind of interesting, right? You are seeing the U.S. and parts of the U.S. at least, fully embracing cryptocurrency and mining. There's other parts and other, senators and Congress people, that don't believe in crypto long term, but you do like to see certain places kind of grow. I'm not gonna play this whole thing, but check this out.
The city of Fort Worth is jumping into cryptocurrency and doing it in a big way.
Yeah, they're gonna mine for Bitcoin at City Hall, the first for an American city. Mayor Maddie Parker says this is a commitment to a high-tech future for the city of Fort Worth. And Fox 4's Macy Jenkins joins us now, and you've got the pluses and the minuses and all things crypto from Fort Worth. Macy.
Absolutely. Heather and Steve learned a lot about crypto and Bitcoin today. Fort Worth, of course, getting a lot of attention after announcing that they will have 3 Bitcoin machines running in City Hall 24 hours a day for the next 6 months. Like you said, Mayor Maddie Parker says that these machines mark the city's commitment to becoming a leading hub for technology and innovation.
So that's really cool, right? This is local news, in Texas, but you are seeing crypto being looked at a different light. If this was 4 or 5 years ago, maybe even like 2 or 3 years ago, this probably wouldn't have happened. But since you have this major adoption with these ETFs and these big names getting in, now, small cities or even kind of big cities are getting involved with crypto mining. And Texas is really becoming a hub for that. Digital asset investment products saw a record. Also, too, just really quickly, guys, if you're in Discord and the clips are kind of low, you can actually turn that up by going into the settings and actually turning my volume up. I have my volume maxed out, but I know if you're new to the community and you're like, man, these clips are low, you can actually go in and edit your sound up. So just make sure that you're doing that if the clips are low, okay? All right. Digital asset investment products saw a weekly inflows totaling $2.5 billion, with inflows for year to date now in an impressive $5.2 billion, right? So you're starting to see more money flowing into the crypto space, and I'll show you that in a little bit. So this is Bitcoin 2019 to now, right? Here is the move that Bitcoin made, right, in 19. And this is kind of where we are right now, all right? So we have so much room to grow here. The halvening is like 62 or 63 days away, 60 something. I don't quote me on the exact number, but we've shown in past history in 2012, 2016, and 2020, usually when the halvening happens, you get a major pump in the Bitcoin price. Valkyrie CEO, right? You're having the CEO of some of these huge investment firms coming out and talking about the impact of Bitcoin ETFs. Let me play this.
I actually think it's the most democratic asset that's ever existed in history. Looking into the ecosystem and, creating products that were good rather than just junk in anything. I think that there was a very naive understanding that the launch equates with mooning, which is very silly. And there's a couple of reasons why. It's the fact that we've seen such exponential growth. And therefore, with this wrapper, they know how to trade it. So I do think the metric of success for that narrative will be this year.
All right, will it be this year, guys? We are going to see $100,000 Bitcoin this year, okay? Whales withdraw almost almost 1 billion in Bitcoin from Coinbase, right? The supply is getting low. We talked about this briefly in the beginning. This has a little bit more in detail. The substantial withdrawal for Bitcoin from Coinbase resulted in the funds being distributed across several new wallets with values ranging in 45 million to 171 million. That is pretty insane, right? And check this out. I thought this was pretty insane. This is Venek. This is today. This is how much volume has come in, right? This is the average volume. This is at 256 million in one day. Insane. All right, and then you also have Michael Saylor doing his rounds on cable news, talking about, I agree with some of the stuff that he's saying here. So I'm going to play the clip and we'll talk about it and then move on.
Let's talk about your existing holdings. As I mentioned in the intro, now worth around $10 billion. You have paper gains of about 70% or so, which a lot of people would like to see that sort of return. At any point, would you sell? When would it make sense to take profits there?
Well, I've famously said I'm going to be buying the top forever. Bitcoin is the exit strategy. It is the strongest asset. So what we see right now is the Bitcoin has just emerged as a $1 trillion asset class. And it's alongside names like Apple and Google and Microsoft. But the difference between Bitcoin and the Magnificent Seven is Bitcoin's an asset class. It's not a company. There's not enough room in the capital structure of those companies to hold $10 trillion or $100 trillion worth of capital. So Bitcoin's competing against gold, which is 10x what it is right now. It's competing against the S&P index. It's competing against real estate, $100 trillion plus asset class as a store of value. So we believe capital is going to keep flowing from those asset classes into Bitcoin because Bitcoin is technically superior to those asset classes. And that being the case, there's just no reason to sell the winner to buy the losers.
What do you guys think? Do you agree on this strategy of kind of never taking profits? I mean, I guess he has the grand outlook on where Bitcoin will be maybe in 5 to 10 years, right? He's thinking 7 figures, turning that 10 billion into 50 or 100 billion. I don't know. I'm interested to hear what you guys' thoughts about Michael Saylor's strategy. Also, you have Perianne from Perianne. Oh, what's her last name? I want to say Moore, but it's probably not. The mandatory EIA survey targeting Bitcoin miners goes beyond Bitcoin. Please place close attention to understand why all Americans should be alarmed by this abuse of power. Now, Michael Saylor believes that nothing will ever impact Bitcoin mining or the Bitcoin in general, right? I come to think if Bitcoin gets too big and it challenges sovereign currency like the US dollar, I would think that the US would do everything in its power to hold on to that, global reserve currency, right? And so there are laws that can be created or things that can happen that could reduce the capacity to mine Bitcoin in the US, right? And let's be honest, Bitcoin is very centralized. I know we like to think Bitcoin is super decentralized, but when you look at who controls the mining and all the power for Bitcoin, it's a handful of companies, right? Of course, you have everybody, running miners in their garages and in their rooms and whatever else, right? But the majority of the power of the Bitcoin mining network is only in a handful of certain, conglomerates and companies. So I like to play this clip. Check
so important. So regardless if you care about Bitcoin or Bitcoin mining at all Americans need to understand what this conversation is about. And it's a conversation that we've been having for a number of years regarding digital asset mining. This has the potential to start a legal precedent that would put the government in a position to pick who has the right to purchase energy and who does not. And we represent over 50% of the hash power that's generated in the United States today. So our members are directly impacted by this, and many of them are very, very concerned.
Wait, there you go. Listen to that point right there. Check this out.
That's generated in the United States today. And we represent over 50% of the hash power that's generated in the United States today. So our members are directly impacted by this, and many of them are very, very concerned that it could ultimately set a legal precedent where it could say, hey, we don't like you for whatever reason, regardless of kind of if you're a miner, a data center, or whatever. And we don't think you have a right to buy energy. In a free country, in the United States of America, this completely changed how energy markets work. All Americans need to get behind this and make sure that we hold our government accountable and we don't allow our rights and our freedoms to be trampled on. I think it's very possible that there are people within the system that see Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining as either an unorganized or a weak or just an easy to attack place to set this precedent. That is the goal. They want to be able to control who gets access to energy and who does not. That is not how it's supposed to work. I think there's constitutional consequences to that. It's extremely important that we all band together to ensure that is never the conversation we're having about energy markets in the United States.
See, this is what I'm talking about. Like, Bitcoin is one bad law away from really not doing too well in the US, right? Like, if the president you know, whether it's this year or next year, if it's a new president, whatever, if they woke up and they said, you know, we want to do something about, you know, who gets energy, who doesn't, or we want to ban mining because Bitcoin is interfering with US dollar. I mean, that's a very real possibility, right? And I'll be 100% truthful here. I don't own Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin in the short term is going to do great numbers. I'm just here to try to take what little money that I have, and when I say little money, I'm not talking about like a few $100s, right? But I'm trying to, you know, 50x, 100x, right? My risk tolerance is very high. I know that I'm not going to hit on everything, but if I can be successful in just a few of these things that I'm doing, I can make, you know, 7, maybe even 8 figures over the next 12 months if things really go well for me. And that is going to be a really good starting point. Last market, I was able to bring in roughly about $3 or $4 million. I didn't keep $3 or $4 million. Let's be really clear about that. When we went through the last bull market, I did not know as much as I know now, and I should have made some different decisions, and I didn't get to hold on to all of that, right? And that was part of it, you know, me not really understanding the crypto market 100%. Fast forward 2 years, you know, now that I've had 4 or 5 years in the industry, I know that a bear market is going to come sooner or later. And when it does come, holding all of this cryptocurrency is going to lose extreme value. I know we see, you know, all of these ETFs coming in and we think the market will never go down. I have another thing coming for you. It definitely will go down. We will go back into a bear market. I don't think we're ever going to go back to the lows of where we were in the previous bull market, because we have all of this ETF money inflowing, and we're going to have, you know, Ethereum ETFs, Solana ETFs, XRP ETFs. All of that will happen. More people will come into crypto, but we are going to go through some of these market cycles, okay? You know, and retail, we talked about this last week, right? Retail isn't here yet. Here's the Bitcoin Google search volumes versus Bitcoin price. As you can see, right, here's 2024. Here's the search volume ratio, right? It's down in the dumps compared to where we were. I mean, even last bull market wasn't crazy high. As you can see, it was a lot higher way back here. But you know, we're still kind of down in the dumps compared to where the price is and Google searches. So time, right? It's going to take a little bit more time. Funding is too high. This isn't sustainable. A lot of people are longing the market right now. Okay, a lot of people are longing the market, and usually when you have a lot of people longing the market, you get a market correction. Okay, so I do think we are going to see some type of market correction here over the next maybe few days or a few weeks. But we'll have to see how this plays out, right? This is a very new and interesting market. We've never had an ETF before that's really been powered by institutions investing money into these ETFs. And we're going to have to see where all this goes. But just, you know, if we get a correction, understand the long term, right? If we get a correction, I will not be selling any of my positions. If we get a correction and I see that something's down 30 or 40% and that's a good buying opportunity, then I will go in and buy that opportunity, right? Any correction right now is really a gift from God. It really is, because over the next, you know, 8 to 12 months, whatever that time frame is that the bull market is going to last, this is going to be life-changing money. Right? I can tell you that before I got into crypto, I was selling houses and I didn't love my job. I was making, you know, 150, 200 grand a year. And when you live in California, I know it sounds like a lot of money, but you know, when you're paying for, you know, $4,000 or $5,000 mortgage and you have a, you know, car payments and all that stuff, you know, it's really not a lot of money. Right? And I wanted to make, you know, $1 million in a year. Right? And I was able to do that within the first 2 years of me being in crypto, right? And that really changed my life, and it forever changed the way that I operate and the research that I do and the things that I believe in. You know, I wouldn't change my life right now for anything, right? I really like what I do. I like having these conversations with everybody. You know, I like sharing my opinions on crypto. I think this asset class is something that is revolutionary, and if you can see how it can change the world, then you are really going to do well in this market. Just remember those rules we went over last week. Those were really powerful rules about taking profit. You know, oh man, Miles. I'll bring that up later. We'll talk about that later. I'm kind of in the groove for Bitcoin now. Let's complete this. It's hard to overstate the strength of the metric reflexity of this chart. Greed is deep-seated emotion rooted in billions of years of evolution. This chart hits right in the plums, right? So here's the 2012 market, 2016 market, 2020 market, And here is where we are now, right? As you can see, we have a long way to go, and this is what excites me about the next several months. Altcoin market will hit $5 trillion by 2025, right? I do believe that we are going to see at least a $5 trillion altcoin market, right? I think last market, the all-time high for alts, excluding I think Bitcoin and Ethereum, was like 1.8 trillion, something like that. Don't quote me on the exact number, but I do think we're going to at least 2 to 3x that. If the market is going insane, we could see like a 10 to 12 trillion dollar market total. I think Bitcoin will at least reach 2 or 3 trillion, and so it's going to be very exciting where we're going here. So right now, the total altcoin market cap in 21 cycle, 2 attempts at failing to break, third attempt of breakout and retest, followed by a 950% rally over 1.5 years. Now, the real conversation is how long is the market going to last? I've seen a lot of people talking about early 2025 or late 2025, and that's a big difference, right? That you know, if it's right around February or March, when the Bitcoin when the bull market is over, that takes away a lot of time, right? A lot of people are talking about October 2025, but that's a 7 or 8 month difference, right? That's a big difference. The reason I think it could be over a little bit sooner than what we all had hoped, there's a lot of volatility right now with banks and interest rates. And I don't think we've fully felt the pain of that yet. And I think that still is to come, right? So you could see major bank failures. You could see inflation ticking back up, which it has been over the last month. There's a lot of things that we would have to look at to really assess where this market is going to end. But the reason I think it might end early and the music might stop early is because the election is at the end of this year in the United States, the presidential election. And usually the current president kind of does whatever he can to make the markets look really good, especially if they're running for re-election. So I think they're going to stimulate the market in 2024. And then after the election, I don't think there would be any reason to, let's say if it's Biden and Trump rematch, and let's say Biden won again, we get into 2025, and I think I think that's where the music might stop. Obviously, if Trump wins and he comes in, or if Kennedy wins, or whoever it is, they're going to have different policies, and those policies could affect the market, right? So we just can't foresee what's going to happen with there yet. All right, so let's talk about the ETH ETF that's coming, okay? BlackRock has a 99.9 success rate on ETF applications. If you didn't know, BlackRock is like 600 and it's either 575 or 675, something. It's either one of those numbers to 1. They've only lost one ETF application, okay? And they're going, or they have filed for an Ethereum ETF, and a lot of other companies are too, right? VanEck has filed for one. There's Franklin Templeton joining ARK Shares also. They're all filing for Ethereum ETFs, okay? And if you don't know, the SEC has to approve the ETF. Now, I don't think the XRP ETF is going to come anytime soon. I do think eventually we will get there, but at the end of the day, the SEC has to approve it. And the way that Gary Gensler's been smacked around by Ripple and Brad and all those guys, I don't think that he's going to be too excited about approving an XRP ETF, even though it has regulatory clarity in the US and Ethereum doesn't. So if you look at what Hester Pierce has said, who's also a division chief, or I can't remember her exact title at the SEC, but she's one of the people that votes on approving this type of stuff. She said that they didn't want to go down the same route as what they did with Bitcoin. They didn't want to get sued and then be forced into it. They wanted to take the easier road. So we're going to see if that's true. The ETH ETF is supposed to be happening sometime in May is what I've been reading, okay? But this says Ethereum has become deflationary. Bitcoin is called sound money because it has a fixed supply and low inflation, but Ethereum is even better in that regard. Ethereum net issuance since EIP 1559 has been negative, which is super bullish for the asset. Upcoming major upgrades, talking about expected to happen in March, and this will make Ethereum more usable for everyday people. This upgrade is mainly for layer 2s and is expected that the cost to transact will go down 90 to 95% after this. It needs to, right? Have you tried to process a Ethereum transaction recently? It is expensive. It's not as expensive as it used to be, but it's not something that regular people can spend $20, $30, $50 on every transaction. It's not sustainable. So this upgrade should really help out the entire ecosystem, and that really could send Ethereum to some insane numbers. Okay, so here's ETH ETF filed by Vanek, files S1 application for Ethereum ETF. This is coming, ladies and gentlemen. After a quiet weekend, 3 days in the U.S., price action, Bitcoin and Ethereum both move higher Tuesday morning, with ETH rising above 3K. Love to see it. And then here's that other filing from Franklin Templeton, joins ARK shares with an Ethereum ETF file, right? So I've shown you this several different times, but I know new people come into the community and they don't know maybe what layer 2s that they should be looking at. This is a fantastic document that talks about what roll-ups are, zero knowledge proofs. It talks about how you can find information on DeFi Llama, which I've shown you that last week. But here is where I think you should focus your time, energy, and some of your resources. Obviously, I'm not a financial advisor, so don't take anything I say as financial advice, but I think you're going to see insane prices for stuff like Arbitrum, Optimism, Base, Zinke, Sync Era, DYDX. Actually, DYDX was talked about by Chris when this thing launched, and this thing went up in insane numbers. Mantle, Immutable X, Linea, Starknet, which just launched right recently. I think it was like yesterday, the day before. It was over the weekend when I was taken off, so I don't remember the exact date, but this just launched. $28 billion evaluation where it is right now. It's insane. Polygon and Scroll, right? This document, please read over. If you're new to the community and you've never seen this document, please go through that. This is where I think you should focus your time and energy, not on quite Ethereum. I think there's more money to be made in the layer 2s that support Ethereum. So check that document out when you get some time, okay? We've gone over it a few different times. Altcoin market cap is currently in the expansion phase leading to the alt season. We are so early and not far away from hitting the $1 trillion market cap when the real music will start. Okay, so what happens here, guys, if you're new to crypto or if you don't know this, let me just break this down for you. People that have been here for a while, you're going to know this, and it's all good that sometimes we repeat stuff, but you're going to see Bitcoin probably break its all-time high. You're going to see an insane number for Bitcoin, and then what happens is people are going to sell their Bitcoin and they're going to dump it into Ethereum, and then once Ethereum kind of goes crazy, then the alts are going to run. Okay, so you want to be fully prepared right about now of what your plan is for this bull market, whether it's AI, whether it's gaming, whether it's Depin. Pick an area that you think is going to do well, right? And learn everything you can about the best opportunities in that area, and then hold on for your seats, right? Hold on for your seats, okay? AI narrative is getting pretty insane, right? Sam Altman's $7 trillion quote is the beginning of the ultimate FOMO, right? Listen to this. This is not Sam Altman. I think this guy is the CEO of NVIDIA. Let me just play this.
Is because this is the beginning of a new industrial revolution, and this industrial revolution is about the production, not of energy, not of food, but the production of intelligence. And every country needs to own the production of their own intelligence, which is the reason why there's this idea called sovereign AI. You own your own data. Nobody owns it. Your country owns the data. It codifies your culture, your society's intelligence, your common sense, your history. You own your own data. You therefore must take that data, refine that data, and own your own national intelligence. You cannot allow that to be done by other people. And that is a real realization. Now that we've democratized the computation of AI, the infrastructure of AI, the rest of it is really up to you to take initiative, activate your industry, build the infrastructure as fast as you can so that the researchers, the companies, your governments can take advantage of this infrastructure to go and create your own AI.
All right, so the AI narrative is hot, and we've been talking about this since the beginning of 2023. We knew AI was going to be in a hot narrative. That's why we looked at all of the projects in the AI ecosystem, and we took our bets on what we thought was going to go insane. This is what I wanted to kind of show you, right? This is the funding rates. This is me putting the chat together in a 2-day period. So just so you guys know, when I'm putting a chat together, like a day or two before the chat, I'm usually putting things together, and sometimes things are out of place, and that's my ADHD. I apologize, but that's just who I am. But here are some lending rates, right? And I wanted to show you this. What is the funding rate, right? The funding rate represents the difference between the mark price of the perpetual futures market and the index price, which is equivalent to the spot market of the underlying asset. The funding rate ensures that the funding mechanism aligns with the futures market price with the index price. When the funding market rate is positive, users who have longed positions pay a funding fee to users that have short positions. When the funding rate is negative, users who have short positions pay the fee to users who have long positions, right? Right now, the market is insanely long. And this is why I think there could be a correction, right? Here is some of the APR on the funding heat map here on CoinGlass of how much people are paying for their long positions, right? Which is, some of this stuff is pretty insane. Like Bitcoin here, you have, 10, 18% for Ethereum, 21% for Sol, XRP's at 22, Doge. I mean, some of these rates are pretty insane. That's why I think there could be a little bit of a shakeout on all of these long positions that people are engaged in right now. So just understand that usually when this gets kind of out of whack like this, you get a market correction, which I think is going to come. So just be prepared for that if it does. All right, this was a good tweet and thread on altcoins, mid-cap altcoins and low-cap altcoins. We've talked about all of these projects in Cryptoneers. All of this stuff we've talked about, right? A0, we talked about this, early 2023. Cubic, Rayon brought up several months ago. Rio, we were in Rio dirt cheap, right? CHANG, Chang, and Space. Actually, this is the one project I don't know. I know Space, I know Trias, Tau, Injective, Caspa. I just wanted to kind of show you that some of these low cap, like this is what I'm focused on, right? These large cap altcoins, these probably move, he's saying 10 to 20x. Sure, maybe maybe some of these 10x, right? What I'm going for is these lower cap altcoins that have a lot more risk but have a lot more bang for their buck, right? This is really what I'm focused on, right? A0 is great technology. I think you need to, unless they change this, 25,000 tokens to run a node. But this is going to do really nice. So is Trias. But I also wanted to, we were going to talk about AI really quickly. We brought this project up, several weeks ago, and I know some people got into this, and this has been pumping. I just wanted to point this out. There's some other projects that I haven't bought this. I just wanted to show you something that I was seeing, a new trend that's kind of coming up, right? And so I'm not in this project. I'm not telling you to go and buy this. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just trying to show you something that I thought was interesting. So look, rent or lend GPU power and earn rewards with GPU. Now, I don't know anything about this project. I have not talked to the founders, but I thought this was interesting that this is going to be a new use case for people that have really top-end computers that can actually rent out GPU power and get paid. If you have an A10, which graphics card, I don't know anything about graphics cards, but this is $600 a month that you could be making just by lending some of your power out, maybe while you're at work, which is kind of really cool and unique. And this is the great thing about crypto. New use cases are always being created. And when we're early to some of these new use cases, that is where real 50x, 100x, 1000x, that is really what I like to chase, right? These newer projects that are not well known, that are building technology, and then if that technology catches on, that could be insane gains, right? And we're going to talk a little bit about that in just a second. This project is currently at $5.2 million market cap. If you want to take a look at this information, I'll share this with you in Cryptoneers really quickly. Take a look at that if you would like to. But I just thought this was a cool use case. And if this does catch on, maybe there's a play here. But they're doing a lot of marketing that I've seen. But anyways, this Tau Logic AI. This is a new project that I was having the team dig into. I found this yesterday. And this could be maybe the next Tau. We're still kind of digging through. There's supposed to be 2 tokens. One of them is this Agora's crypto Tau AGRS. I'm seeing a lot of people posting about this on Twitter. I scour Twitter. I'm on Twitter hours a day. And I start to notice trends that are starting to happen. And there's a lot of people kind of slowly starting to talk about this project. They're supposed to be launching some type of testnet and the other token here very soon. But maybe this is something that you want to put on your radar and take the day, start researching that. We're going to see what we can do. People always be calling me in chats. We're going to see what we can do about finding more information on the next token that's going to launch here. But you know, if you look at, they have this great, update videos that they do with their team. Here's the Twitter. If you want to take a look at this, please not BioFi. What are we talking about with BioFi? Watching a lot of things turn red now. So hold on. Okay, now we're talking about something else here. So hold on. So we're talking about BioFi, guys. Okay, real quickly. Okay, this is at a. What is? I don't think the market cap on here is legit. Hold on. I think it's at $1 million. I think the market cap's $1 million. Let me just pull this up on Deck Screener. I spent an hour long talk with Brian this morning, and I have a lot of fresh information in my head. So let's talk about this really quickly. Okay, this is at a $1.1 million market cap. Okay, right now. They are talking with government officials. They are talking with family offices. They are talking with some of the biggest cell phone distributors in Africa, South Africa, and other states in Africa. Okay, the information that I am hearing is that it could get pretty insane with how many phones will be ordered. Now, I don't have a confirmation yet of who's going to be ordering what, and when I do have some information, I'll see what we can share with you guys. But I can tell you that this is literally a week and a half to 2 weeks out of ICASA testing. Okay, their BioFi is paying somebody that is inside of the process. You know, on the table. It's not like a backdoor deal or anything like that. But they're paying someone that is basically holding the hands of the officials that are doing this ICASA testing, making sure that they don't have any problems, or if they need anything or information, they can get it really quickly to them. This is literally a week and a half to 2 weeks out of being done with ICASA. Okay, first it was the CE testing, then it's ICASA, and once you get out of ICASA, you can actually start taking orders. Okay, now the numbers that have been throwing around in these in these conversations that I've been having are hundreds of thousands of units per order. Okay, now if BioFi plans to use part of the money that they're going to make from these phone sales to buy back some of the token, I don't know if they're going to burn it. I know they plan to buy back some of it. Okay, if you basically sell 1 million phones, they'll make probably $30 to $40 million in profit per million phones. Okay, now this is at $1 million market cap. I truly believe that if they are successful in selling millions of phones, that this market cap should be minimum 40, 50, maybe even 100 million. Okay, I don't know how long that's going to take, but I have taken the bet, and I've shown you, like I posted in Cryptonaires Discord, like if you go back in time and you look at BioFi and you look at this conversation, if you go into old comments here in October, I was telling you what I was doing, right? I was buying BioFi at the very bottom. Okay, hold on. This is 2022. Let me go to this real quick. Give me just 1 second. Let me just pull this up for you because I want to show you this. Right, I am very open and upfront with what I am doing in the crypto market all the time. You can come in here. You can ask me what position I'm holding. You can ask me pretty much anything. Right. Let me show you this. This happened in October. Right, and I laid it out for you. I literally laid it out for you. Right, and I've been trying to talk to you about it ever since. Right. So here's the beginning of October. 10/1. That's why I'm hoping for a strong start, right? And then I get into, we were talking about this in Sensei chats. I was posting all kinds of updates. Cass was posting some threads, but then, I was talking about, 10.5, 10.6, right? I'm literally telling, it's a $140K market cap, right? I put $10,000 or 12,000, something like that, into BioFi at the very bottom. That bought me about 60 million tokens, okay? Right now, that is worth about, at the 10th of a cent, it's worth about, I have the token staked. I'll have about 75 million tokens by the time the staking is done in May. So my 10,000, give or take, dollar investment is now worth, after the stake's done, at the current price, it'll be worth 75 grand. And if BioFi is able to go to a $10 million market cap, I will have turned that 10 grand into $750,000, right? This is the opportunities that I'm looking for in the crypto space. And this is kind of what I share with you all the time inside of Cryptonaires, right? right? I wrote a big post here on the 15th, right? If you look at the chart for BioFi, let me just show you this. Go back 6 months. Where's October? That didn't help me. I don't. The DEX tools. Hold on. Let me go back to here. Okay. Let me show you this. Right. 10, 15. The very bottom is where I was buying BioFi. Right in this little area is where I bought my tokens. Okay. Because I knew that the phone was right about to go into ICASA testing, and I was sharing that with you in these chats. Right. So I mean, this one simple thing. 3 months later, I 6 to 7x my money, right? And if things go well, and I think that they're going to, right? This is a possibility where I could turn a very small investment, well, when I say very small, 10 grand, into maybe 7-figure investment, right? 100x my money. And if we get to a couple pennies, right? 3, 4, 5 cents, 5 cents, $75 million tokens, you're talking about $3.5, $3.7 million from 10 grand. Like, this is the shots that I'm trying to take, right? And I took it. So these are the opportunities that we talk about all the time in Cryptonaires, but somebody mentioned BioFi. We're literally 2 weeks out from ICASA being finished, right? If you're selling right now, I don't know why you would be, okay? It's obviously what you want to do with your money, perfectly fine. But the news, the marketing, the phone sales, all of that's about to happen. I just don't see the value in selling right before that happens. But you can do whatever that you want. But I know someone just brought that up, and I got off on a tangent there. But, you know, having information early makes a big difference, okay? Also, this was brought up in Cryptonaires by Q&T yesterday, okay? Q&T believes that this is going to go hard in the Chinese market, okay? Measurable data token. Let me show you this. Measurable data token, control and monetize your data, right? This is very, this is a very good use case. Do less, earn more, secure all. MDT ecosystem creates smart contracts through the blockchain to make sure individual users get their cut. There's a little video here. Let me play this.
Have you ever thought about how much valuable data you create? Emails, what you search for or buy, likes on social media. You generate a ton of data every day. And big tech giants vacuum it all up and then sell it to all sorts of buyers. But while you're providing important consumer behavior data, you don't get anything in return. Measurable Data Token wants to change that. MDT is a decentralized data exchange platform that rewards you for the data you contribute. Once you opt in, your data is anonymized, aggregated, and exchanged as big data. And our platform creates smart contracts through the blockchain to make sure you get your profits, which you trade in for exclusive services in the MDT ecosystem. And since each data point is traceable on the blockchain, data buyers can ensure they're buying good, valid data. It's a brand new approach to impartial data sharing. Control and see where your data is used, and get rewarded for it.
All right. So Q&T thinks that this project might 3 to 5x over the next few weeks. I took a shot. I bought $5,000 of this token. We will see. I am not telling you to go buy this token. Obviously, I'm not your financial advisor, but I'm just telling you what I did with, what I did yesterday, right? And right now, this token is trading at 7 cents, right? Right now, it's $52 million market cap. So if this were to go 3 to 5x, you're talking about $150 to $250 million market cap. And if we do get to like a 3x, even a 2x, I'd be taking some profit. If we go 3x, I'll be taking some more profit. And if we get 5x, I will take the rest of my profit and go chase something else. Usually when things kind of go up 3 to 5x, I'm taking profits and I'm finding something else to get into. I very rarely hold something that's already done, 3 to 500% return. It's always good to have some type of moon bag, hold on to a little bit, but there's so many things that come across. I get sent projects literally all day long, and there's a lot of things that I have to kind of pick and choose what I invest in. And so this was just one of the recent investments that I made. Okay. Appreciate Q&T, great researcher that we have inside of Cryptonaires, along with the community, right? When you have hundreds of people all sharing information, a lot of information gets shared, right? And that's the value of the Cryptonaires community. All right, so let's talk a little bit about other AI projects because, this has been a hot narrative. This is still going to be a hot narrative. I do think Depin is a hotter narrative, and we've been talking about that, over and over again. But here's a list of different AI projects, ranging from $1 million market cap all the way up to, several million. But these are very low market cap AI projects. Obviously, I don't have the time. I was just putting this chat together today. I came across this and I thought this was valuable to share with you. Some of these projects we have talked about, some of them we haven't, but I'm going to link this inside of the Kryptonaires Discord. Please take a look at this when you get some free time. There's probably a few plays here that I think that I will jump into. When I do, I will let you know, but this is just, somebody was asking me for a list of good AI projects and I thought this was valuable to share. Also, Depin, let me show you this. I'm always keeping track of different bigger YouTubers because when they talk, people listen. So let me play this real quickly.
Yesterday, everyone was making videos about AI. I said it's the end of the AI run and it's the beginning of a new run, which is going to be decentralized file storage. Today we wake.
Which is going to be decentralized file storage. Okay, you having one of the biggest YouTubers in crypto saying that the next narrative is going to be decentralized file storage. What does that bring me to, ladies and gentlemen? That brings me to storage chain, right? Tell me something we didn't know 3 months ago, right? This is an opportunity that I took a long shot at, and I know there's a lot of people in the Kryptonaires community that have followed me into this play. Now, they are going to make an announcement in a few days. Man, I wonder if I can share this. Okay. I don't want to get into trouble, and I know I'm live streaming. Okay. I'll just say in a few days, they're going to announce that their technology, anyways, by the end of this week, they should have the announcement out that the thing that they've been working on for several weeks is finally going to be announced, okay? And after that is announced is going to be the partnerships and the marketing. Right now, this project is literally $250,000 to $300,000 in market cap, okay? But this is decentralized file sharing, right? So I think that out of some of these projects, there's going to be a lot of winners. Depin is going to be the biggest industry, I think, inside of crypto in this bull run, right? So when we're talking about Depin, there's literally over $14 billion in market cap in some of these projects, okay? Now, a lot of these projects we have brought up to you a long time ago. Sia Coin, AKT, we were talking about AKT last year. Arweave, right? Look at Arweave's up 55%. We've been talking about this for months, if not over a year, right? LivePeer, right? We were talking about this. This is up 100%. Okay. Ocean, 35%. Right? When something like storage chain is going to be catched on, when it catches on, and you're going to start having millions of dollars flow into the project, this is another opportunity where I think I can make 7 figures in this bull market, right? So I just thought that was interesting. This came across, my Twitter feed this morning in the YouTube video, and I listened to the first few minutes of it, and I just thought it was very interesting that now some of these people are really talking about Depin, and you're seeing just insane numbers here in the Depin ecosystem, right? So if you want to focus on one area of crypto in this bull market, Depin is probably where you want to be. If you don't know, Depin, it stands for, it's basically decentralized infrastructure. Cloud storage is really kind of on the forefront of that, right? There was just 26 billion records hacked. 26 billion records. Let me show you this. Records hacked. So this is January 2024, okay? This is an insane mother of all breaches, right? Dropbox, right? You had all of these different companies hacked of all of their records, right? Security researcher found a database with 26 billion leaked records, okay? So what are companies going to do? They're going to move to a more secure solution for data storage, all right? This is going to be a $500 billion industry by 2030. It could be bigger, okay? But it's going to be a $500 billion industry over the next 5 to 6 years. Let's keep it going. Tau, right? So Tau, we were talking about Tau at $50, right? This is another list of pretty solid Depin projects. I think this is Depin, or is it? No, this is AI. Excuse me. Where I want to get back to this. No, I didn't share this. Let me share this with you. Sorry, we were talking about AI. I got on something. Mark the timestamp. Yeah, I'm gonna need it to. I needed to go edit that out as soon as I get done with this. Anyways, Depin, focus on Depin projects, guys, because this is really where a lot of value is going to move to, right? This OBOT, I don't know what this OBOT project is, but it's up 450%, which is pretty insane, right? But there are opportunities here. Now, there's going to be a lot of scams in the Depin area too, right? You need to make sure when you're looking at a project, you need to research the team. Understand who's going to be leading that project. Understand what their value is going to be, okay? Because if you have a good product, but you have a crap team, you know, you're not going to be able to market. You're not going to be able to do AMAs. You're not going to be able to get out in front and talk to people about the project. And then when the company grows, you're not going to be able to expand that company properly, okay? It really does matter who's running the project. So make sure you're researching who is the founder and the other team members and really understand what they're doing. But like Flux, $18 million market cap, right? Something like this could be, Flux, $284 million. This is just the 24-hour volume, 284 million, right? So there's going to be other people that are going to run these nodes, right? Flux nodes and everything else that are going to want to look for new opportunities. And that's why I went so big into storage chain. Anyways, this is another project that you should really be focused on. You should be researching this right now. And we've been talking about this in Cryptonaires. This was brought up, I think, maybe a month ago. Building scalable, decentralized cloud infrastructure for gaming and AI, okay? This is going to be insane. This is supposed to be faster and a little bit better than Render is. And you have the pre-series A funding, NVIDIA Inception program, testnet on Arbitrum, 5+ game integrations, right? This is one of those opportunities that I'm going to take, and I think I'm going to go pretty hard into it, right? You should be paying attention to this project, okay? And this is really focused around AI and Depin, right? Bionics all in on Depin Gem Y, all right? And you just have, this kind of fits all of the exact boxes that you're looking for in crypto right now. And I think this is really going to be something that's going to be pretty insane. 150,000 followers on Twitter. You mentioned Orbitech one timestamp a year ago. Man, I can't even remember that. That's pretty insane. We talk about so much stuff here, like literally over the last year, I think we've looked at like 1,000 crypto projects, right? So it's hard to keep track of all of this stuff, but I'm glad you remembered. Please pay attention to this. This is going to be a big deal. Distributed cloud infrastructure, gaming and AI. Like I said, they have 200,000 users, 10+ gaming studios, 23 node locations. Okay, here's the partnerships. It's backed by the best, right? Merit Circle's in here, Citizen X, right? Gate.io, Bybit, of course. We Build Games. Of course, there's some other partnerships here that I don't know, but game publishing, gaming cloud, this is going to be an insane project. This will go multi-billions. I truly believe this will go multi-billions. So if there's going to be an opportunity to get into this early, I think you should be paying attention to this, right? If you don't take anything out of this chat but one thing, make sure you're paying attention to this one thing, okay? This is going to be insane. So we'll have more information inside of Cryptonaires when this is going to launch, how you can buy the token, how we can get in early, and trust me, we will be on top of this. AI could not be possible without Depin. No one understands yet, which gives us a 100% or 100x profit opportunity. Here's a list of Depin projects. Some of these that we've talked about, some of that we haven't today. I'm going to share this list inside of Cryptonaires. XYO, we were in this last bull market. Does anybody remember XYO? Took some massive profits out of this one too. $87 million market cap. Let me just show you this, right? Coin market cap. I remember this, man. XYO. Let me pull this up. Now at 96. Nice. Let me show you this. Yeah, we got into this project early, like right when Cryptonaires opened. We were talking about this. This is like right when Cryptonaires opened in 2021. We've almost been here 3 years, which is pretty insane, guys. I took massive profits. This thing went from 0.0004 to 5. No, this thing went to 7 cents, right? So there's going to be opportunities like this. Obviously, if you're getting into something like XYO, you're going to have, your growth might not be as big as some other projects, but you definitely want to be paying attention to decentralized infrastructure, right? And so there's WMT, World Mobile, right? I've talked about World Mobile to you guys months ago. I was actually trying to get these guys to partner with BioFi, but they're really slow to kind of react. But I thought this was pretty cool. You can actually do nodes and blimps. You could do, man, there's a lot to this project. But anyways, let's keep it going. Man, this thing's at $88 million market cap. Man, does anyone remember when I brought this up maybe like 3 or 4 months ago? Helium, HNT. I don't love Helium because it's an infrastructure that nobody uses, right? Script me. There you go, brother. Script you. All right. Here's another great thread about Depin projects, right? Man, you know, I find these threads all the time, but if you're just now learning and you're just now kind of getting into all this area, this is something that you want to be paying attention to. Here's OBOT. This is the one that's up. You have Stratus Network, STOS, excuse me. Kind of similar projects, but there's definitely going to be money to be made here. I'll share this again with you guys inside of Cripsnares. And if you guys on YouTube, if you want to find these threads, you just look up WAC_time1 and they'll be kind of right there for you. And then here's a new thing that I'm seeing, a new narrative forming. Decentralized science, right? Before we jump into DeSci, blah, blah, blah. So let's first reflect on the leading crypto narratives that dominated conversation in 2023. Tau, FET, POW, RLC. And this kind of talks about artificial intelligence, most popular crypto narratives, GameFi, meme coins, you know, layer ones, FTX holdings, yikes. GameFi also grew hugely, but a new sleeper narrative is awakening in 2024. What is DeSci? DeSci aims to decentralize science through blockchain. It tackles issues like paywalls, transparency, and access. The goal, democratize research to empower discovery. Problems, DeSci addresses paywalls, restrict access to research, funding, consolidated in traditional institutions, data not transparent or immutable, censorship of controversial ideas, lack of collaboration across borders. DeSci creates an open infrastructure for science, freely accessible to data, transparent processes, funding through crypto, secure data storage on chain, and uncensored publishing. Also, benefits are fast and cheap publishing, data transparency, accessible research, user control of data, cross-border collaboration, and permissionless innovation. How does DeSci work? Decentralized storage like Filecoin, IPFS, blockchain timestamping for immutable data, token incentives for crypto funding, smart contracts to automate processes, encryption and sensitive data. This kind of fits storage chain, doesn't it? You also, the space is gaining momentum, drug deployment, geomatic testing services, academic institutions, open science platforms, medical research, right? And here's 2 key science, DeScience players, Data Lake Token, and you also have Jimenez DAO, right? So something maybe to take a look at, but I will be watching this narrative closely. There's going to be projects that are going to come up, and there's definitely going to be, here's the landscape, right? Decentralized science landscape. Here's decentralized biotech. Here's projects, decentralized science and funding, science DAOs, foundations and institutions, protocols of data. You have Ocean Protocol, right? This is definitely something that you probably should have in your bags. Scientific publishing. You have science NFTs, and then you have communities and chats, right? So there's a lot of places that you can go right now to find information on this new narrative that is forming in crypto. Let's keep it going. All right, let's talk about a little bit of XRP stuff, because I know there's some people here on YouTube waiting for some XRP stuff. Here is Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse says he would certainly welcome an XRP ETF.
So you would welcome an XRP ETF then?
We would certainly welcome it, and I think it's inevitable that there'll be, multiple ETFs around different tokens. And I think you'll even see ETFs potentially around baskets that also, I think, further diversify that risk.
Given there's so much excitement around the ETF dynamic here, are you in talks with the largest issuers, particularly BlackRock, to get this done?
Well, I'm not going to comment on that. I know BlackRock has said some things publicly. We think it makes sense for the XRP community overall. Ripple obviously is a very important stakeholder in the XRP ecosystem, but we're not the only player. And look, we've seen, before the SEC lawsuit, XRP was the second most valuable digital asset. I think because of the headwinds of that lawsuit, we've now seen that largely abate. But the long-term view on these things is about, how do you create utility and really solve real world problems with these different digital assets. Bitcoin's doing that very well as a store of value. XRP and its dynamics around being very fast, very efficient, and low cost on a per transaction basis makes it ideal for payments. And that's where Ripple really has leaned into as a company.
All right, XRP ETF is going to come, guys, right? We're waiting for it. New development: accusations of price manipulation surface against Ripple. Excuse me. Technology officer responds, David Schwartz. The integrity of XRP ledger remains intact amidst the current surge. Token CTF has seen remarkable increase with 115 wallets. I don't know much about this, but we'll have to see what happens here, guys. Obviously, this could be an issue, but people have always been talking about price manipulation for a very long time. There's obviously huge whales inside of XRP that do move or lower the token, move it up or lower it. Some of the stuff that's out of our control. Manipulation is part of the reason why you need crypto regulation globally, so it can control some of this stuff. But Ripple partners with CIB, one of the best banks in Egypt, 2020 Best Bank Award.
National Bank, CIB, is the 2020 Best Bank in Egypt, based on its strong financials and client-centric business model. It is the leading private sector bank in the country and the preeminent corporate bank, offering a broad range of products and services. Earnings rose 23% last year, and ROE was an impressive 30%. CIB last year became the first bank in Egypt to form a venture capital firm focused on financial services, providing it with flexibility to adapt to unforeseen changes in the market. The bank is focusing much of its attention during the COVID troubles on its SME clients. CIB is implementing central bank directives to extend maturities and interest on loans for 6 months, forgiving 50% of the principal on loans to non-performing CME clients, and fully forgiving interest where its exposure amounts to less than 10 million Egyptian pounds. In late April, the bank acquired 51% of Kenya's Mayfair Bank, becoming Egypt's first bank to venture into the Kenyan market. CIB plans to expand the bank by focusing on the retail segment, corporate banking, and trade finance sectors, hoping to turn Mayfair into a hub for trade finance in Kenya. Here's CIB CEO Hussein Abasa.
All right, I've got a few more things I want to talk to you about before I let you go. Protocol 20 is officially live on Stellar. Smart contracts on Stellar are here. Streamlined transaction, expanded use cases, heightened security, and so much more. It's game-changing for the network, and it's all thanks to the heart and hustle of the entire ecosystem. This is from Danelle Dixon. This is a big deal, guys. This is what Stellar and XRP have been missing, which are smart contracts. Also, you have Brian Brooks here. I thought this is a great clip. Cryptocurrency does not seek to replace currency. It's a bad name. It seeks to replace banking.
So you used to be a banking regulator.
I did.
And now you're saying that crypto has the potential to put banks out of business?
Well, look, they're not going to put the banks entirely out of business. There are many things that banks will continue to do, but the core things that banks have done since the 1300s, those are going to go away, 100%. And let's just be clear what I mean by that. The reason that we even have banks originated in Italy around the year like 1340, all right? And the reason they originated was because of a set of accounting advances that allowed banks to serve as trusted intermediaries between parties that owed each other money. Before that, literally, I would write you a note and I would promise to pay you money and you'd put the note in your pocket and you'd see if anybody else would take the note. You know, that's why we refer to discounting notes. And then banks arose and it was like, you no longer need to do that. We'll take care of it for you, but you're gonna have to pay us to do that. That function of needing a trusted intermediary to maintain ledgers of account to figure out, do I owe Brooks money or does Brooks owe me money? It turns out that function no longer has to be done by human beings. The same way we don't need postal clerks anymore. I can send you an email for free and it's instant and that's just the end of the post office. Sorry, but it just is. That function will go away.
How am I going to get my coupon pack?
How are you going to get your coupon pack? Where are you going to get that toaster, that very valuable toaster, right? What's going to be left for banks is the high value add services, you know, structured finance, investment advisory, you know, all of the things that make a dynamic economy function. We still need people to do that. There's a lot of creativity going on in finance. But the core of banking, the base of the pyramid, the thing that drives most of their revenue, doesn't need to exist. And that's why I say, and I was saying to one of the organizers even before we stood up on this panel, cryptocurrency does not seek to replace currency. It's a bad name. Cryptocurrency seeks to replace banking. Just if you take nothing from this panel but that's what you need to understand.
And that is why JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon will say all the negative things about cryptocurrency, right? We understand that at the end of the day, they make billions of dollars in fees by transferring money slowly around the globe. And when you have something like XRP that can move value at the speed of light for much less money, that replaces banks, right? You're always going to have these big banking conglomerates. The difference is going to be they're going to be making probably less money, or they can, you know, if they're going to adopt the technology and use the technology, which they are, they're going to be able to lower the amount of fees that you pay and still make a considerable amount of money, right? But that is what we're trying to do here, is we're trying to make it so anybody can send money to anybody at any time, anywhere on the planet at the speed of light. That is the goal here, and that's what someone like Ripple is working to replace. All right, guys, Starknet. If you don't know, if you did the Starknet airdrop, you can go on to the provisions.starknet.io and claim your tokens. I know that some people were bitching that they didn't get enough tokens, but that is live, and you can go do that. And then also, we are going to have a chat here in the Cryptonaires Discord in a few hours. Let me just check the time on this really quickly about airdrops. I'm going to take you through several airdrops, and I'm going to show you how to do everything. Let me just check out the events tab. This is going to be in 54 minutes. Awesome. You know what? I'll probably push this back 30 minutes, guys, because I need to have some lunch in between chats. So this will be at 2:30 my time, Honolulu, which is 4:30 PST. We're going to do this. I'm going to go through several how to do airdrops, and we're going to get into all of that information. I wanted to turn it over to the community and see if anybody had anything that they wanted to share, any projects that we're looking into together. We can research those really quickly. Anything going on from you guys that you would like to bring up? I know we covered a lot of information today over the last hour, but please let me know if you guys have anything that you want to talk about. I'm going to be probably ending the stream here on YouTube, though, and just jumping back into the Cryptonaires Discord and talking with the community. I really appreciate you guys for sitting through this whole chat with me and spending the time with me. I really do appreciate you guys. I will see you on Friday, same time, 11:30 11:30 Honolulu time. We're going to do a whole new chat. I'm going to have all brand new information for you. I hope to see you guys then. JP, are you in the chat still? No, he's not here. Okay, let me end this real quick. Thank you guys for staying here on YouTube. Should we be buying Starknet with the price drop today? So Harbinger, I'll answer this really quickly. It's already at a $28 billion valuation. Can it go higher? It might, but it's valued extremely, extremely high right now, and I would just be careful. I don't feel confident enough right now at the current value of the protocol to invest money into Starknet. I think overall it's a great technology that's going to do very well. It's just an insane evaluation right now. I'd just be very careful. It could go either way. All right, just be careful on that one. All right, I'm going to end here today. If you guys have any other questions, there's a 7-day free trial to Cryptonaires in the description. Come into the community, talk with us. We're always working on new information. Come hang out with us. It's a great community, a lot of information being shared every single